So I thought this was interesting insofar as factors. This is what caught me with that article. Again, I think I'm just going to quote it. America is a country in deep pain. I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. That's what caught my eye. The coronavirus pandemic, racial injustice, economic insecurity, political polarization, misinformation, and general daily uncertainty dominate our lives to the point that many people are barely able to cope. And I think that's egocentric for us to think that's just in America, because I see that listeners all around the world are talking about and experiencing all sorts of despair and distress, as John, I think you were talking about. We know, science tells us, anxiety rates of dysfunction are high. Depression is raging. Suicide rates, not just among military or police personnel, among teenage girls and, you say, middle-aged boys. I didn't even know that.
Right.
Like, there's a lot going on out there, and in that kind of a mental space, oh boy, how easy is it to be empathetic?
And the way I know that is, by the way, and it's anecdotal, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it is generalizable, but there was that through first responders that I work with, they just talk about, these guys, they're this age, and they're in their 40s and 50s, and there's
something's going on.
Something's going on, and they have everything, and yet they
have nothing.
You
didn't hear my catch though. My at the end there with the question is, if we're in these states of despair, how then difficult is it to be empathetic? Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
When despair is up, when anxiety is up, when depression is up, loneliness, an epidemic of loneliness, how does that affect, as a group, the group's ability to be empathetic?
So there's empathy fatigue, huh? Is that what I'm...
There's a phrase.
Yeah.
You just created a term.
Yeah, because we talk about compassion fatigue, but this is empathy.
Well, if we have, and also, like, to add on top of that, we're very, especially here in America, we're very, like, individualistic type people.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really think of the whole group a lot of times. We just think of ourselves.
A little self-absorbed over here in this part of the world.
Yeah.
And we're very good at saying we're self-absorbed.
Oh, yeah, it's fine, right? I know,
that's it. Like, that with all this other stuff that you mentioned on top of it, like, if I have all this crap going on in my life, high anxiety, high depression, like all these things, then I may not be able to put forth as much energy and effort towards being empathetic towards other, because I got my own crap to deal with.
Yeah. And
like when I get home,
intently,
and then that's in the forefront of my brain. Oh my gosh, when I get home, I got to do this, I got to do that. When I get to work, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then I'm not thinking about, like, the person that's like,
how do I dial into this person?
Yeah, or like this person that's on the side of the road, like I don't even see them, because that needs help with their car, because I'm so, like, focused on, like, okay,
consume.
Yeah, what am I doing at my next destination, while
John,
also like not wrecking my car.
Yeah,
on the way there.
Also, John, you had thoughts though?
Well, yeah, I was thinking that that there's a risk with being empathetic, and by that, you mentioned that we hear these horror stories about you stop and help somebody and they're going to assault you or rob
not alive you,
unalive you,
you,
and that could be a real issue. But the thing also is that if you are empathetic and are intentionally so, you might have to change your outlook. You might have to change your prejudices. You might have to stretch, grow out of your...
How dare you say I have to challenge my beliefs to be empathetic with somebody else?
Yeah.
We're independent, right, Victoria?
Yeah.
That's right. I'm being sarcastic here.
Well, and that was by the way, that's been going on for forever in our country, at least in my long
Yeah, no, I
life
listen to
so far.
enough true crime podcasts to know that's happens a lot.
Yeah. All right, here's a darling of our conversation, I'm sure. If you start thinking about social media and technology, we haven't had a good impact conversation on social media and technology in a little while. I've kind of avoided it because I felt like it comes up a lot. But
Well, I
It
It
bring
almost
it.
comes
I
up in
bring
every
it.
podcast topic we talk about.
what's that?
I said it almost comes up in every episode.
Yeah, and I shut it down because
At
I'm
some
like, I don't
point.
want. I'm
That's-
afraid to.
That's me.
But
It
how
doesn't.
do you have a conversation about empathy, losing empathy, having challenges to empathy, and not dig deep hard into the realities of
It's
social
just
media
that we have so
technology?
much information that's thrown at us and given to us,
It's
and yet
exhausting.
it's exhausting. And yet, that is an area that we seem to be having. It should make us this, if one followed it logically, it should make us more empathetic. Everybody's our brother and sister. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Right.
And so, but we don't. We do just the opposite. We polarize. We go into tribalism. What do you think?
Yeah, sorry. Keep talking.
I did that. I did that on purpose. So,
What? My brother called me, and he never calls me, so I'm texting him back real quick to make sure everything's
so,
okay.
so, but I think that's something that we do. Is it not more challenging that to be empathetic now and authentic and transparent in a world in which we're swamped with information, and it's hard to figure out? We seem to be drowning in it, and therefore we do just the opposite. We try to save ourselves.
True story that I just heard last night. There was a guy that I met. He works with river keepers. Hey, by the way, man, nice to meet you.